Clara Manning buried her husband on a Tuesday under a cottonwood tree at the edge of their homestead. The grave was shallow because the ground was frozen, and she had to dig it herself. Their 2 children, James and Lily, stood behind her, too young to understand what they had lost. The wagon accident had been quick, they said. Her husband, Thomas, had been thrown from the seat and broken his neck. He had not suffered. Clara wanted to scream that she did not care if he had suffered. She wanted him back, and no amount of kindness could give her that. The homestead had been Thomas's dream, not hers. She had followed him west because she loved him, because she had nowhere else to go. Now he was gone, and the land was hers, and she did not know how to keep it alive. The cattle were thin, the fence was falling, and winter was coming. She placed an ad in the newspaper at the trading post. Wanted, hired hand for Homestead. Must be strong, honest, and willing to work for modest pay and board. She did not expect much. The men who answered were drifters, old or desperate. Then Jack showed up. He was tall, broad-shouldered, his face hidden beneath a thick beard and a hat pulled low. He spoke little, asked for nothing, and looked at her with eyes that seemed to see too much. She hired him because he was strong, because she had no other options, and because something about him made her feel safe. The first weeks were awkward. Jack worked from dawn until dark, repairing fences, cutting wood, tending the cattle. He ate with the family but said almost nothing. Clara watched him from the window, trying to understand why he seemed familiar. She could not place him, but her heart knew something her mind did not. One evening, as she brought him coffee in the barn, he pulled off his gloves and she saw his hands. There was a scar on his left thumb, a crescent-shaped mark from a childhood accident. She had seen that scar before, years ago, on a boy who had promised to marry her. "Jack," she said, and her voice trembled. "What is your full name?" He was silent for a long moment. Then he pulled off his hat, and she saw his face for the first time. The beard was new, the lines were deeper, but the eyes were the same. "Jack Turner," he said. "We were to be married once." Clara stumbled backward, her hand over her mouth. Jack Turner had been her first love, the boy she had grown up with, the man she had promised to marry before her family had sent her east. She had written him a letter, breaking the engagement, and he had disappeared from her life. That was 15 years ago. "Why did you come here?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. He looked at her, and his eyes were wet. "Because I never stopped loving you. Because I heard Thomas had died. Because I wanted to see if you were all right." He took a step closer, then stopped. I did not plan to stay. The weeks that followed were the hardest of Clara's life. She had loved Jack once, had chosen Thomas because her family had forced her, because Jack had been poor and Thomas had been promising. She had spent 15 years telling herself she had made the right choice. Now Jack was here, and she was not sure. The children loved him. James followed him around the homestead, asking questions, trying to help. Lily sat on his lap during meals, and he told her stories in a voice so gentle it broke Clara's heart. She watched them together and wondered what her life would have been like if she had chosen differently. One night, a blizzard trapped them in the cabin for 3 days. There was nowhere to go, nothing to do but sit by the fire and talk. Jack told her about the years after she left, the drinking, the fighting, the day he decided to go west and never look back. He told her about the loneliness. Clara told him about her marriage. Thomas had been kind at first, then distant, then cruel in small ways that she had learned to ignore. She had stayed because she had no money, no family, no options. She had stayed because she did not know how to leave. And now he was gone, and she felt guilty for feeling free. The fire crackled, and the wind howled, and Jack reached across the space between them. His hand found hers, and she did not pull away. "I have waited 15 years to touch your hand again," he said. She looked at him, at the man she had loved, the man she had lost, the man who had come back. When the storm cleared, Clara walked with Jack to the edge of the property. The snow was deep, the sky was blue, and the world felt new. "You asked why I came," he said. "I came because I made a promise to myself. I promised that if I ever saw you again, I would tell you the truth." "And what is the truth?" she asked. He took her hands, looked into her eyes, and spoke words he had been holding for 15 years. "The truth is that I have loved you since we were children. I have loved you through every storm, every loss, every year of silence. I will love you until I die." Clara did not answer with words. She stepped into his arms, and he held her against his chest, and the children watched from the cabin window, smiling. They were married in the spring, in the meadow where the wildflowers grew. James walked her down the aisle, and Lily threw petals. Jack never left. He became a father to the children, a partner to Clara, the man he had always meant to be. The homestead flourished, and the family grew, and the winters became easier because they faced them together. On the night of their first anniversary, Clara sat beside Jack on the porch. "Do you remember the day you came to my door?" she asked. He nodded, his arm around her shoulders. "I remember thinking you might send me away." She leaned into him, her head on his chest. "I should have married you 15 years ago." He kissed her forehead, her cheek, her lips. "You married me when it mattered," he said. And in the quiet of the mountains, with the stars shining above them and the children sleeping inside, Clara Manning, who had lost one husband and found another, knew that some loves are not bound by time. Some loves wait.